It's this idea of meeting them where they are at. And that means emotionally, also physically, but emotionally. Where are they at? What are they thinking? What are they considering from a professional standpoint? What's on their mind? What is important to them? And I think that's such a vital piece of how you create an event for an attendee. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Event Marketing Redefined. I'm your host, Matt Kleinrock, CEO of Rockway Exhibits and Events. Today, I have Ghazwan Almoazen with me. He is the Director of Experiential Marketing, Demand Gen, and Communication at Docusign. And I love Ghazwan's experience because he started as a digital marketer, a demand gen professional, and then it's rolled into now experiential and events at Docusign. So really a lot of what we're going to do today is tie in digital marketing, demand gen, marketing just in general, and the importance of having those skill sets, capabilities, and how it should bleed into events. Excited to do it. Ghazwan, thanks for being here. I appreciate you jumping on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Matt. And I'm very excited to be here as well.
Yeah, let's do it. So, we talked a little bit before. I was joking to you and you had said that DocuSign has become a verb. And I think I was telling you that on this day, I emailed somebody back about 3 hours ago and was like, can you make my life easy and just send me a DocuSign? So DocuSign is the category leader. So I think from a marketing conversation, that's like the king that you could be. So it's a great place to start this conversation. But what I'd like to know from you is give us a little bit about your digital marketing and your, kind of demand gen background, so we can roll into this.
Absolutely. So I think most like the majority of events demand generation fell on my plate. I didn't start from the get-go doing just event generation. I started like 15 years ago doing digital marketing in general. So I touched on web marketing, email marketing, social media, paid media, all of the things. And then developed the experience from there. When I joined Oracle, I was on an Oracle Marketing Cloud team. Then I kind of switched to the events team to run demand generation for Oracle Open World. Now it's called the Cloud World. Back in the day, it was Open World in North America and globally. And that's where I kind of start focusing more on driving events, demand generation, marketing, and all of the things. Definitely the experience I've combined over the years helped me shape the strategy that I want to put into the marketing strategy for driving registration and attendance for those events, and definitely follow up right after.
Before we spoke, I know what demand gen is. That terminology has been on the rise over the last few years for sure. But I wanted a really simple and non-corporate way of kind of relaying it to everybody. So I used a little bit of ChatGPT, right? Just kind of ran through. And the best thing that I found is that it is a proactive approach to building demand rather than capturing existing demand. I think it's just such an easy way of describing it, right? So a proactive approach of generating and building demand for your product or service versus capturing the demand that's already out there.
And I can even simplify this more for you. So when I think about events demand generation or demand generation in general, we always use two categories, B2B and B2C. How about B2C, but the C here is like SEE, because I'm as a business marketer, I see you. I see your need. I see the problems that I want to solve for you by this category that we have launched or by attending this event and so on and so forth. So it's about the human connections and the human interactions, our humans marketing to humans behind the B2B or B2C.
I love that you said that. I actually posted this morning on LinkedIn. I was just having some thoughts about things. And I think that the very foundation of where events need to shift, one of the biggest pieces is exactly what you just said. Is we have to shift from this event planning mindset to this event marketer mindset. And the event marketer mindset is a human to human. It is understanding the audience, meeting them where they're at. What do they want? What are they seeking? What is important to them? What matters in their world right now? And I think that is something that people, as they're developing flagship event, a trade show booth, a brand activation, whatever it may be, for me, that is a foundational thinking piece that you are talking about. So let's kind of expound on that for people, because I think there's a lot of event planners that are corporate event planners, that are being asked to be like really serious corporate event marketers, how do they shift? How do they move their mindset? And again, not event planning is a beautiful thing, and it's creative and it's detailed and it's a necessary thing without a doubt. But in order to drive real serious business results, objectives, pipeline, you have to have this event marketer shift. So let's talk a little bit about that.
We have seen the shift, especially post-COVID, how people, they stopped attending events only to learn, but also to network and be entertained. So if events is like missing any of these two pillars, you're missing the mark. People can learn online all day long. They have the on-demand sessions. They have the online presence of that event or offering, but people want to join other people at this event, at this facility, at this venue, to network, to learn from each other, to talk to each other, to talk to experts, to ask what's the latest and greatest, to share wins and share failures and share pain points and these kind of things. So this is the holistically how we kind of building and seeing the shift in the events as well year over year, learning, networking, and on top of that, the entertainment, because budgets are cut, people trying to like choose 2 to 3 events max to attend now per year from we've seen how we can make this experience worth their while, and then train them to be a repeated attendee year over year, and then celebrate their attendance if they came back the next year, which we want them to.
And I don't blame people, right? Like I think going to events, not going anywhere, the idea face to face, the human interaction, the authenticity to it. But it's kind of gotten to the point now to where like you have to deliver. You have to deliver. You have to understand the ecosystem that your event holds, which really is providing value to multiple stakeholders or multiple people, you'd say. Ghazwan, where do you think your digital marketing background, like when it comes to human behavior and thinking about your audience, your customer, your prospect, how has that helped you develop, formulate, and work on events?
So it helped me connect all, I love this question, by the way. It helps me connect all the dots through the customer journey internally and externally. And I'll unpack on both. Internally, we're bringing all the stakeholders together, from the products team to the creative team, communications team, sales leaders in the field as well, in addition to the marketing and everyone else. What's our goal from this event? What we want to achieve? Each team, they have their own. For example, the creative team, they want to deliver the best brand promise to the attendees. They want to showcase the brand that we love and everyone talks about. With the products team, their goal from their POV is like, we want to launch this product. For example, at Docusign, we launched IAM, Intelligent Agreement Management, last year. So we're building on that year over year. So that's their goal. From my perspective, I want to bring attendees to this event and then build on the follow-up post-event, so it doesn't stop immediately after. So there is that piece. And then externally, it doesn't stop for the attendees when the event over. For me, it only starts when the event's over, because there is the follow-up that I'm going to do through marketing. There is the follow-up that's going to come from the sales team. The sales team, they do understand that events, they close deals faster. So we're here helping them through this event to close deals faster. We're bringing them face to face with those leads, with those customers, to help them upsell, cross-sell, reduce churn, and all of the things. So really, it's like an opportunity for all the company to come in together into this massive goal that's going to bring help, opportunity, pipeline, and revenue to the company.
I love that. So a few things that you said that I want to get into. One is deal acceleration. You know, I talk about this a decent bit. I call it pipeline impact. I think too many times from the conversations that I've had over the years, the goals are always like leads. And I'm like, oh, sure, let's go down further. What does a lead look like? What are the pipeline things that are happening? And you just mentioned two that I think don't get talked about enough, because deal acceleration is one. I always use the example, Kat Leong from Gainsight. They have their host event. Once she was able to figure out that their current deals that come to their Pulse event accelerate by 40%, she was able to give those facts to sales. Then sales started trying to get everybody that they had a deal with to that event. Prior, she couldn't get them to get them there. They didn't want to send invites. But as soon as she said, hey, If you get somebody here, the deal accelerates by 40%, right? So I think that is a deal acceleration is a pipeline impact that happens at events all the time. And whether you are planning and strategizing for it is on you. The second thing you said, reducing churn. I mean, I love both of those because they're not talked about enough. And I've been doing this for 14 years and asking people, what are your goals? What are your objectives? What are we trying to do here? You rarely hear those things said. You rarely hear them.
And even more, like people talk about, or like they want to measure this or that, but great. Registration and attendance is only one thing, but the hype doesn't start with it starts with the registration.
Those are leading indicators. They're leading. Yeah, they're leading. Yeah.
All of this can happen on site forward. Like these conversations, that's what's going to drive the pipeline forward. And then it's important why we focus on the top opportunity when we're driving registration and attendance to the event. Working closely with the field teams in our organization here at Docusign, that's helped us a lot focus on who we really want in the room, our top accounts, our big opportunities, the folks that we want to help move the deal faster and even close that deal, whether on site at the event or shortly after.
It feels to me like what event people should be trying to do is you're trying to move somebody, right? From call it A to F, right? From here to here, from one pike to another. And you're either trying to move them strategically or you're trying to move them emotionally, right? You know, there's two different avenues there, but you're trying to get them to shift. You're either hosting an event, going to a trade show, doing an activation, whatever you're doing, but your actions and your planning and your engagement, and to your point, the follow-up, what you're doing is how do you shift people? How do you move them? You use the term customer journey, right? How are you moving them through your customer journey? And I just think it's such an important part that people miss.
Customer journey is the attendee journey in my case when I'm talking about like the events and driving and inviting people to the events. So while the field teams, they're going to focus on the strategically moving this attendee or this customer, I'm going to do the emotional hook by marketing this event to them, telling them that, hi, you need to attend this event. And these are the reasons that you cannot miss this event. The value in learning, the value in networking, the value in just joining other user for this product. This is all the reasons that's going to help you grow and learn and then do better with this product that you're going to attend this event to learn more about. So they go hand in hand while driving event demand generation.
In that same line there, what do you prioritize? Like if you're designing an event, like you're building out an event, either a flagship event, a one-day event, like what do you prioritize because what we're talking about is like, okay, moving pipeline or adding pipeline. So like, what do you prioritize to make sure that you can do that at your event?
The attendee needs, definitely, that's number one. And we measured that through the pre-event survey. What they're looking to do, what they're looking to get out of this event, any feedback they have for us, for them to attend this event, whether they joined us last year or the years before or not. This is how we kind of start brainstorming about what's our goal for this event, what's the offering that we're going to do, from keynote planning to roadmap sessions planning to breakouts planning, then networking events, meetups, meetings, all of the things. So it starts with that by listening to our customers and what they're looking for from these events. And from there, we kind of take it up into the different stakeholders, how we kind of bring this to life from brand perspective, from products perspective. And then from marketing, I kind of tie in all the knots and bring all the bridges between everyone about how we can make this happen, from the messaging to the content that we're offering and the marketing that we do on all the channels, paid, earned, etc., so on and so forth. So it's a holistic overview about what the event's going to be about and for them to get excited about attending. So because for events, we see attendance rate, it varies from event to event and from location to location. So attendance is something that also we kind of focus on to bring that up as well.
You know, when I hear you say attendee needs, I know there's a lot of different types, but what it makes me think about is from a marketer's perspective. I always want to know what is top of mind for them. What's like important to them right now? You know, that sometimes can be a problem they're looking to solve. It can be something that's going on in the world that affects their job, role, position, company. But like, I think when I think attendee needs and running a really good event or planning a good event, it's like this idea of not being tone deaf. It's this idea of meeting them where they are at. And that means emotionally, also physically, but emotionally. Where are they at? What are they thinking? What are they considering? What's from a professional standpoint? What's on their mind? What is important to them? And I think that's such a vital piece of how you create an event for an attendee.
Absolutely. Especially for like, we're talking about executive experience, for example, those decision makers, they don't really have the time of the luxury.
Oh yeah. Don't waste their time. Yeah.
Exactly. So like we kind of want to deliver them the best experience that meets and exceeds their expectation, and then give them the solutions they're looking for that solve their problem and make their business work and flow more smoother and more faster as well.
Now, how do you plan content? Content for an event. How do you dial in the content? How do you get creative with it?
Great question. So it's so we have the products team, we have the events production team that's going to help us produce that experience on site the day of the event. So between the two, we kind of try to bring the best of both worlds within the budget that we have for that event, and then making sure that it's relevant to all the audiences that we have. So this is my role, where I come in to make sure that all the content that we're producing is married to the audiences that we're inviting or who we want in the room, for them to have the knowledge they're seeking, for them to make it worth their while and worth attending that event. Between the keynotes to the sessions, what's been offered in person versus what's been offered digitally afterwards as well, and the timing. People every day have higher and higher expectations. So they want the best of everything and they want it now. And then it's not always the easiest things on vendors, on people working in events to make that happen, but we manage.
I like that.
Yeah.
What about post-event? What about wrap-ups? What about, kind of shifting year over year? I think sometimes event planners, marketers always say they feel like they have to pull the rabbit out of the hat next year. They always have to come up with something better. I always, when I hear that or talking to someone and they feel that way, I always kind of divert them back to the conversation of, well, what was your wrap up like? Because I think if you do a wrap up and you get feedback and we throw our own event. I take feedback in my phone while the event's going on. If I see something, I write it in my phone. So what does your process look like when you do wrap-ups, post-events?
Definitely. So when we do the wrap-ups and then I'm getting ready for the next year events, I start with like a fresh eye. I don't take anything that worked this year might not perform the same way next year. And it's not only for North America, but also globally. What works for this region might not perform the same way for that region. So always an open mind about what the audiences are looking for, what's the trends and in the industry as well. We've seen all the events, all the companies that kind of competing to bring the best in everything, content and marketing, etc. Survey is one way to measure the satisfaction of the attendees. Live surveys, for example, I've seen that in multiple events when at the end of the day, or even in the middle of the day, they stop in attendees to ask them, what do you think about this event? So instead of filling out a digital survey, it's a two-way communication. It's an interview. They stop you, they record your questions. It's like a communication about what you like, what you didn't much have interest about during the event, and how we can make things better. And then making sure that all this feedback is collective. Then we share it with the AI to analyze it, make the best out of that report, and we share it internally as well. And that's the other thing, like AI now is our personal assistant, for lack of better words. It's not necessarily going to do the job for us. We can just train it to help us with what we need to do every day.
I've gotten in the habit of telling my AI thank you, and it always tells me you're welcome, and do you need anything else? Honestly, I laughed earlier. It's amazing, but it's pretty cool. I like that there's a lot of areas for it to speed you up. I think that's one. Okay, you get these surveys, summarize them, place level of importance, find like the aggregate, like there's things that it can, if you have 100 surveys or 1,000 or, however many, you're able now to dial down this information much, much faster to understand what's important. So it's a really good tool for that.
And even if you want to just test your marketing, test your emails, or look for an A/B test or a subject line, or how you think this email is going to perform, or if you have any optimization tips for this email, you can do all of that now in AI in seconds.
Perfect. That's a perfect segue on what I wanted to ask you. I did want to get into a little bit of the digital marketing style stuff for events. So we always use the term with our clients, whether they're doing a trade show booth and they're trying to book demos or presentations, or whether they're running an event and they need to get people there. We always use the term asses in seats, right? How do you get the asses in the seats? So from a marketer perspective, digital marketing, what are you doing to get people to an event or get people to an activation, a trade show booth? How do you do it?
It all starts with making sure that the content that we're producing or creating is optimized for AEO, which is the Ask Engine Optimization. Ensure that whoever is asking, or the ChatGPT or any other AI tool, about what's the event that this company hosts, or why do I need to attend this event versus that event, we would show up in those results that we're going to solve this problem for this business. And then, for example, the pre-event marketing, I do also send the pre-registrants updates. So registering for the event is just one thing, but I want them to show up at this event. They get busy, life gets in the way, travel, budget, etc., etc. So I keep them updated because once they register for an event, they're not necessarily going to go back to the event website to learn what's new there.
Yeah.
Keep them updated, especially closer to the event, that here is your registrants newsletter. We have added the speakers, we've added these sessions. Now you can build your agenda. You can use this application to network with attendees as well, or answer the questions in the pre-event survey. Everything that we can help them stay engaged with us and show up at the event, and making sure that they have exclusive, customized, personalized attendance as experience as well for them on site.
I think the know before you go type thing, but I've seen some pretty advanced ones. And I think there's the know before you go, the basic information that every event planner knows that needs to be in there. But then I think there's kind of that next level of information in terms of what to expect, things to consider, little details and nuggets of things that maybe they didn't know, conveniences that you can create for people. I've seen some really well done know before you go that goes to the audiences per se, or customers, whoever it may be that's attending. And I think there's the basic form, but then there's also the piece where you can be incredibly detailed and really create a really good experience for somebody.
I call it the attend before you go. So we send out those like few weeks before, and then the know before you go with logistical stuff. It's just couple of days before the event to make sure that they have everything they need handy within their fingertips, and mobile friendly as well, because we know like 60% of the attendees, they kind of use mobile now to do all the event registration, attendance, etc. experience.
Ghazwan, when we first spoke, I think I asked you if you had like a unique perspective or approach to events, and just anything, right? Just trying to create some conversation and just what we could talk about. And you had mentioned that you feel like there's a shift in audience perspectives and expectations. I know we talked about that a little bit, about what worked last year might not work next year, but can you touch a little bit about like that shift in audience expectations and what people want out of events now?
They want to have a blast. They want to have a blast. Now with the social media and everything between TikTok and Instagram Reels, they want to have a memorable experience. They want to have a reason for them to come back the next year and the year after and bring a colleague or two to these events. And that's why we need to meet them where they are and where their expectations are. This is the main shift that we'll start seeing in the past few years. That's going to take an extra work from all the event planner and marketers for them to meet those expectations, and making sure that the content that we're providing and offering is relevant to the audience. It's not just what us internally want to offer. It's what's the customers are looking to learn about and gain from attending than that.
I agree. I think there is an authenticity to events that needs to thrive moving forward. And I kind of relate it to some of the old playbook has gotten really stale. And when people go to an event that's running this old playbook, they're kind of like, man, this is just, it's not engaging. I feel like I've been to 500 of these. And a bit of a shift that I'm seeing is more experience, number one, a little bit of like festivalization style thing. Yeah. The other thing I'm seeing is a much deeper like curation of peer-to-peer connection, like people trying to do that, because I think that's a lot of what people are seeking. And then I think those are kind of what the expectations are. As you're saying, expectations kind of line up to me for, will somebody return? Can we create demand for this event moving forward? And some of that has to do what you're saying with their expectations and what they seek and want out of an event that they're attending.
And also how we stand out in the competition and in the
Yeah.
world that we are right now. Like we know all spring and fall are very heavy, busy with events.
I love that.
How do we stand out? How do we help them make the best decision on which event to attend and prioritize as well? One of the things I've enjoyed, like I've attended an event a couple of months ago, and then when I came back home, I found a personalized note in my mailbox from someone I've chatted in at the event.
Wow.
I love this personalized touch. It was just a written note with his family photo, and then asking me for the follow-up. Like I've gotten 10, 15 emails follow-up from that event, but that handwritten note that I found in my mail definitely stood out, definitely urged me to catch up with him and then follow on that conversations and see how we can, bring the conversations forward.
The standing out piece to me reminds me of something I told somebody recently. We were talking about an event that they throw, talking about how to shake it up a little bit, how to do some things differently. And I had just said that a lot of events like the one that they throw are thrown for the audience that they're throwing it for. So my initial gut instinct, my gut right away, based on that fact, would be, how do you do it differently? Because if you do it the same way that everyone else is doing it, you're not going to stand out. And it's going to be rinse and repeat for that attendee member versus what I would look for, what I think you would look for someone to do is to compare and contrast. And you have to give them something to compare and contrast, right? And I think that takes thinking about the event a little differently, taking some risks. Like I think, all types of touch points can be risky or changes into events, but I'm not saying do something just to be different, be calculated, but also I think that mindset is a strong mindset when making shifts in your events.
And how you create FOMO when you open registrations for that event. FOMO doesn't happen like just the day before. It should happen when you launch registrations. For example, whether your event is paid or free, there is always a way to create FOMO for attendees. Like, oh, I want to be at that event. Oh, I'll be missing out if I didn't attend. And that comes to the experience of the event on site. Plus, are we offering anything online that's going to compete with the in-person? Are we going to make it super easy for them to grasp the content online after the event? Or do we want them to work into getting the approvals needed for them to attend this event in person? So lots of things that comes into the equation.
Ghazwan, if you were giving advice, call it your younger self, but say you had somebody, mid-20s, late 20s, they are just starting their corporate career, right? They're, in the event marketing, comms department, whatever you want to call it. Everyone's in a different seat there that gets, pushed into it, and they were being asked to start to corporately event plan and involved in trade shows, flagship events, activations, executive type things. What's some advice that you would give them?
I would give them, learn your data and know it and own it. Data is everything. If content is king, data is the queen that sits next to that king. Along the way, it helps you shape everything that you do, from creating the content to creating the marketing to measuring performance, all of the things. And measuring it doesn't, for example, measuring marketing channels and all of the performance stuff along that comes with it. It doesn't happen post-event. It happens weekly, sometimes daily. I kind of go back to this email. How did it perform? What can I do better for the next email send that I have next week or the week after? Same with social media, paid media, in product promotion or web promotion. Optimizations and improvement and all of the things doesn't happen after the event. It happens while we're running marketing for this event to make sure that we get the optimist results for registrations and attendance for sure.
If content is king, data is queen. I really like that. That's a great quote. That's really good.
Hand in hand. And unfortunately, we see lots of marketers, they don't bring the two together, but that's the secret. There you go.
I wrote it down on my pad when you said it. What I like about it is it reminds me of prioritizing things at an event, right? And I think in anything that you do well, you have to prioritize. You have to be good at selecting what's priority and what's not. And I think obviously content is so massive, and it's, it spans, you could talk about content from, you're doing a trade show booth, that kind of dials into like, what's your engagement? Are you running demos? What are you, and then you run into an event. What do your sessions look like? What are the different, and that is all the engagement that's really happening. Content to me is really engagement, right? It is how people be engaged and learning. And then data becomes secondarily, because then you're now talking about measuring, you're now talking about understanding your numbers, you're now talking about really understanding kind of like quantitatively what is going on at an event versus qualitatively you will feel if you're there, right? You'll see it, you'll understand it, you'll have different takes, but it kind of sets a little bit of a priority, I think.
And it helps shapes the content. For example, the products team, they want to do this track for, let's say, CX. From the previous data that you have, how many attendees you have for the CX session, how did they perform from the field enablement efforts as well. All of this combined will help the product team shape the content that they want to offer for this industry or this line of business, and not just rely on their lens or things from their POV about how they want to create that content. So bringing that forward into all of the internal stakeholders will help shape the event and the engagement level that we're going to see on site.
I think what's even nicer sometimes is when the qualitative feedback that you have yourself lines up with the quantitative feedback that comes back. We had that this year with our own host event. As we started getting some of the feedback, there was an area that I was like, I wish we just shifted it a little bit this way. I could just feel it in the room. I could see it. And then by some of the comments, I was like, but now it just knows that's an area that we have to shift. So you're kind of marrying those two together.
Yep, absolutely.
Ghazwan, this has been a great conversation. I loved having you on. I appreciate you talking and coming on here and, kind of spreading some of your knowledge.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Absolutely loved your podcast. Always listen to it. And it's great talking to you today.
Thanks for joining us, Ghazwan. I appreciate it.